So I was just amazed at what happened. I heard on the news the other day that the war show got shut down because of the incident that happened. What happened with that incident? What happened?
We've been at the venue
Right,
where the show is going to happen at
right,
for the last 2 weeks.
exactly.
As you know,
Preparing for the show. Yeah.
right? Decorating, just making sure the room is right.
Mhm.
Testing the satellite feed, testing the live stream, all of that.
Exactly.
So, ironically, I had an opportunity to meet some construction guys who were laying down fiber optic. Cause
You've been in the business. How long you been in the business?
36 years.
Right. You know what
Yeah.
you're looking at. So.
Yeah. So I'm asking because I'm thinking, well, maybe the fiber optic line could help us during the show.
Right,
So my whole attitude was, well, when are they gonna be finished?
Yeah.
So they were informing me that the Monday following our show, which would have been the 24th or 5th, they had to be done.
Right.
Actually, it was the 24th because that would have been Monday.
Yes.
Christmas
Eve. Christmas Eve. Yeah.
Right. Our show was scheduled for the 22nd.
Right.
So they were giving me the whole rundown of they were laying down fiber for Verizon, which they had to get this fiber up to reach the satellite cell tower on Howell Mill.
I want to go back a little bit because your history. When you speak of high-speed internet, when you speak of fiber optics, when you speak of the internet period and streaming, things like that. Tell me more about your background so people can understand that you're not just talking, but you understand what goes into everything and how you know about all that.
It goes back to 1994, 95.
Yeah.
I was hired by Bloomberg, directly by Michael Bloomberg,
Wow.
as one of
The
the
Michael
Bloomberg, former mayor of New York. I guess he's running for president now,
Right.
or going to,
Right.
whatever. Billionaire.
Mm-hmm.
We met at a function, at a seminar,
Mm-hmm.
where they were talking about this new TV network that they were launching. And Michael Bloomberg knew nothing about television, but he knew everything about financial data.
Right.
I mean, he's a Wall Street guy,
Right.
or a Merrill Lynch guy. So as he began to talk about what it is that he wanted to do, it was never done before. He's talking about 95, 96.
Right.
When analog was still the way of the world.
Exactly.
And he was talking about these little things. They're like little computers. They were called Bloombergs. They're now what we now call tablets.
Right.
Is what he had in his mind.
So he pictured the tablet
Way before it happened.
way before it happened.
Right.
Yeah.
And he had about $100 million to make it happen.
Yeah.
So he hired me along with about 20 other techies to come in and create this television station, which was called Bloomberg Information Television. We in the company used to call it BIT, B-I-T.
Okay.
Because we would make a joke, we've been bit by Bloomberg.
Right.
Right? So now Bloomberg, had a radio station,
Yeah.
WBBR. So we had to run WBBR. We had to also run the TV station. And then we were also responsible for producing Charlie Rose's show, which was on the 13th floor.
Right.
499 Park Avenue.
Yes, sir.
It was an amazing life for me at that time. We were on the cutting edge of digital.
Wow.
Cat 5, IT, all of that stuff we were doing back in the 90s.
Wow.
And it really wasn't that new to people who have money and law enforcement and all of them, because they've been using this technology for a while.
Right.
It's just the average person didn't have access to it.
Right.
And even the big networks didn't have access to it.
Wow.
Because again, they had all of this infrastructure and analog, and so they didn't want to stop that huge train going down the road, right, to convert into this new speculative thing called digital TV, digital programming, which now is the way of the world. So Bloomberg trained us, spent money to send us all over the world
Wow.
to learn how to transmit and receive satellite. We had special training in a lot of areas that I still see are not even being implemented today.
Wow.
So,
That's amazing in itself. The training that you receive, some of the training is not being implemented right now today.
that's right. That's right. And so that experience for me was incredible. In fact, I was the swing guy.
Mm-hmm.
I was the swing guy because I had the aptitude
Mm-hmm.
to learn everybody's job. And so I was, and I hate to make it sound about me, but I'm just giving you what it was.
Yeah.
I was the guy that could cover anybody's shift. So when guys, I would get my whole paycheck, man, in 3 days.
Wow.
I would do 24 hours a day covering everybody's shift.
Mm.
So, and after 3 or 4 days, I was good. If I worked the whole week, man, I'm coming home with 5, 6 G's.
Wow. Wow.
And again, that's New York standards,
right.
but you still 6 G's a week.
That's good money.
That's good money.
Yeah.
So, and then overtime and the perks were amazing, man. I didn't have to drive. He had limo or car service pick us up. Not so much like the Uber thing, but literally limos or town cars blacked out coming to your house and picking you up.
Yeah, you were kept in secret because you.
Yeah, well, I mean, in the philosophy,
high tech. Yeah.
he didn't want
Protecting his investment.
Exactly.
That's it.
He didn't want your mind frazzled trying to find parking in New York or having an accident on the way or perhaps even getting robbed. Or he didn't want you to have to worry about that.
Wow.
He was that thoughtful as it related to his employees, and he still is. I mean, he was a great guy to work for, very demanding, but very matter of fact.
That's good.
And I enjoyed working there, but it got to the point where I saw that I reached the glass ceiling. Like I was only going to be this guy.
Right, I understand.
So at a point you make a decision.
Right.
And then I went on from there to go to Good Morning America, and then I did the whole talk show thing in New York, from Sally Jesse Raphael to Gordon Elliott, Jon Stewart, Montel Williams, Conan O'Brien.
That's great. That's excellent. So going back from your days in New York to them running the fiber optics, and you want to tap into the high speed internet, you know what you're talking about. You know what they were doing and how they get it done, and so you were looking at, okay, how can I benefit from what's going on in the area for my show to come out to talk about.
I wanted to know absolutely what speed, and again, the guy knew I knew what I was talking about, because not many people can talk the technical talk.
Right.
How many megs up, how many megs down.
Right.
He's telling me, well, we may be able to get you 100 gigs. I'm like, for what I do, that ain't enough. And he's like, well, you must be pushing a lot of content. I'm like, we're talking about a network.
Right, network. Right.
We need full infrastructure. We have a cloud-based system that we want to put nearby. I want to know how far is the run from this location to where you guys are terminating this line. So over a 2-week period of time, me and it just happened to be a black man who owned this company, but again, he's not used to talking to black men that know how to know what it is. Right. So we quickly became friends. So every day that I'm coming to the venues, he's there digging his trenches and boom, boom, boom. Leading up to Saturday, December 22nd. Ironically, Friday night, because he knew what the event was going to. In fact, I brought him in, let him see how he was setting it up. Him and his crew came in.
Exactly, yeah.
So there was a camaraderie. There was already a relationship built, because I'm thinking, with this guy, he knows IT as far as digging in the ground. I know IT as far as infrastructure.
Right.
Let's connect
Let's
up.
connect up. Yeah.
So I had his business card. He had mine.
Right.
We were already thinking long.
Yeah.
Friday night, he comes to me. He says, "Man, we're a little bit behind. Do you mind if I park our trucks in the parking lot of the venue, and we'll be out of here by noon, because we know your people are going to start arriving by 3 o'clock."
Right.
I said, absolutely, because again, man, I'm trying to be accommodating. Most people would have said, no, I don't want none of this near here. No, I'm that kind of brother, and I want to make sure that we are accommodating.
Right.
And so true to form, I got there in the morning. His crew was there diligently doing their thing. And then all of a sudden, I had a hard staff meeting. The time was at 12:30 because that's the time that we called it. Staff is in the conference room.
So this was a pre-production?
Pre-production
Okay.
meeting.
Okay.
Just going through the last minute details, technical.
Okay. Now stop right there because I need the people to know what was planned. This was the third annual awards?
Third annual award
Okay.
show.
Tell us about the awards real quickly so they can get a gist of what you were planning and how big this thing was.
This was the biggest award show that we've ever done, under the auspices of MVP. I've done huge award shows, working for other people, producing, Heart and Soul Awards, Essence, Lady of Soul. I've done a lot of them. But again, my own brand.
Right. Now talk about your brand. You got the hat on,
Right,
MVP.
right. I'm always
represent network. So that your own network is putting on this event, which is the third annual award show. Talk about your network and how you put on these events to do what.
Okay, so in reference to the network, because I had that infrastructure background from Bloomberg, but I also know how to produce shows.
Right.
And worked in that arena, and then the fact that we were producing HBCU college sports, we have content, and where television is going, and actually has already landed, is digital.
Right.
Right.
Exactly.
Which is again where I learned. I learned live digital programming.
Right.
So my mind was always geared towards having my own network.
That's good.
I'm not talking about a TV show. I'm not talking about running a camera.
But a network.
A network.
Yes, sir.
That
has its own programming on your network.
That's right.
Yeah.
So the challenging part initially for me was financing.
Exactly.
This equipment, although it's a lot more affordable than it used to be, it's very difficult to come up with $1 million worth of equipment. Where the big boys
Exactly.
understand that you're serious about what you do. There's a lot of people running around here with cameras, and I don't knock them.
Right.
I've seen some amazing stuff done with DSLRs, iPhones even. But a client that wants to pay you $50, $60, $100,000 is not going to want to pay you using a DSLR.
Exactly.
They want all the bells and whistles, all the toys. So I had to figure out how was I going to acquire all this equipment. Where was I going to be located to launch this network? What area is hot? Where can I find my own niche without stepping on somebody else? And having to deal with that part, and then having the access to quality content, quality shows.
Okay.
So it was a lot of consideration given to why I ended up here in Atlanta. I was in Hollywood, I was in New York, I was in all the meccas, but Atlanta was quickly becoming the hub. And so I saw that Hollywood and New York were all migrating here, and so obviously I did that. And with the 30% tax credit, it made it easy for me to make a decision.
That's good. That's good.
So from there, we had to build the backbone, which is the infrastructure of the network. How is it going to be delivered? I started out with about $1 million worth of equipment, and then another $1 million worth of technology to be able to distribute this content.
So you're telling me you invested in your own network?
Yeah.
You invested time, money, and everything you have in your network.
Everything that I've ever made, and including retirement monies, and I mean, I don't want to go into my background because it's. I mean, I didn't just do television. I mean, I have a degree where I used to do autopsies.
Okay.
So I've made money.
Wait, hold on. I'm sorry. Yeah. Autopsy. Yeah. We got to go back to the forensics. I'm just saying, that's a big step from going to digital and network and cameras and Bloomberg to now you can cut people up.
Well, no one ever understands that whole transition. They don't.
But that's for another show, but
Yeah.
let's put a pin there. So we'll come back to that.
But the essence of it all was how to acquire that kind of money.
Yeah.
Now, when I say $1 million here, man, it wasn't all cash. It was lines of credit. It was loans on equipment, leasing. I'm sorry, leasing equipment, and then having the credit rating, right, to be able to acquire capital, and then just trying to do your business right, so that your FICO score is right. Your Dun and Bradstreet. I'm sorry.
Gotcha.
All of those numbers.
You'll pay that score for your business, and I got you. I understand.
You know what I'm saying? So all of those things, man. And again, people are good sometimes at what they do, but that financial piece,
That's it.
which stops a lot of people from moving forward.
Exactly. How did the awards come into play with helping you financially get your network up and running?
The awards for me, it started out as a way to pay homage to people who don't get recognized on a daily basis.
Wow, that's good.
These are people who are doing extraordinary things, but you never hear about it.
Right.
This past show, our lineup was so incredible, man, that I was honored to be able to honor these type of people.
That's good.
And not to take away from the years in the past, but in the first year, you're not going to get the quality of people because they're all leery about, oh, we've never heard of these award shows before. We heard of you, but we haven't heard of it.
Right.
So it's all of that, and Atlanta is a very cliquish kind of spot. So
you have to have the rapport, in order to build from the first war show to then now
exactly.
to get the type of people that, hey, the Build's doing something big, we want to be a part of it.
Right.
And so this was very big.
Yeah, and to trust their brand
Exactly.
with mine.
Exactly. Because their name's online as well as yours.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So all of this preparation, from selecting the right honorees, so that the public can say, what? Who?
Right.
We had doctors, lawyers, major entertainers, major investors, major players in the game. We had cardiologists. We had cosmetic dentists. We had some major people, radio personalities, investigative TV reporters. People who were head of news that never. I had one gentleman who worked for a local news station here and has never
received a reward.
Never.
So I'm pretty sure they were very excited and happy to be able to receive something.
Absolutely.
To honor them, to say, hey, community, we value your service, we value what you have done over the years, and so here's an award to show you love that you never have received before.
That's right.
That's huge.
That's huge.
Yeah.
And then because people and the honorees and their families know that these people have been, trailblazing for all these years, they want to be there to experience this moment. It's magical. It's something that's not been done before for that particular person.
That's good.
So each person had about 20 or 30 people coming.
That's good.
And we had 30 honorees.
Wow.
We've never had more than 12.
Wow.
So we more than doubled. Right? So the show was going to be a 3-hour production, live. And
hold on. It was going to be a live production on your network for 3 hours.
On my network,
honoring 30
individuals.
Wow.
My staff, my team, they came in and just added a lot of color to it.
That's good.
My wife,
to bring it to life.
Bring it to life. She did a lot as it related to the color of the room, the decoration, and for all of that to happen, weeks leading up to the show, and then one day.
That's devastating in itself, because here you are giving back to those who have labored in the community and who has businesses. They do great exploits in the community, and so here are giving back and using your platform to do so. And you have your crew, your money involved, everything involved. Weeks months leading up to this point, and this day take us back to where we left off at, and how there's running fiber optics, and then all of a sudden you're having this meeting, pre-production meeting for this event on that day.
When you do a show of any magnitude, you have maybe 1 or 2 tech days,
Yeah, yeah.
you know,
yeah,
and then you have show day.
Mhm.
We had almost 3 weeks of tech,
Okay.
so we were fully prepared.
Right.
Right? In fact, the live stream window, the actual feed was already sent out.
So you wasn't getting prepared. You were already prepared.
I was ready to go live.
I say all the time, don't wait for opportunity to get prepared.
Right.
Be prepared for the opportunity when it comes.
That's
so
right.
you were already prepared before that day.
Before that day, I had already sent out the stream link
Yeah.
to all the people who had already requested it.
Mhm.
And then we were doing the social media campaign a couple of hours before the show, because live is live.
Right,
You
right,
catch
right.
people on the go.
Right, on the go.
That's
Yeah.
the uniqueness of our network.
Mhm.
You don't have to be sitting in front of your TV.
Mhm.
Your cell phone, your tablet, your computer,
Mhm.
whatever personal device you use, or your TV if you just download the app.
Right.
So, on demand, anytime, anywhere, upon your demand. That's the concept. All original, all the time.
That's good. That's
So, we were ready to go.
good. Right.
12:30 meeting. I remember specifically what I said to. It's 16 to 17 people in the room at that time. I had a staff of 33 that day. But that particular time, it's about 16 people. Not including the people that were in the venue cooking and cleaning
Right.
up.
Right.
and all that.
Right.
And I said to them, listen, we are moments away from doing something that is so historic that I can't even tell you. Many of whom have never been, and I say the staff, many of them are new to our staff. So they've never experienced a production of this magnitude. And they were so amped up. And the last words that I remember saying to them, and I swear to goodness, this is exactly how I said it. I said, things are going to happen in a live production, and what we're going to do is not panic.
That's right. Because you can't panic live.
You can't panic
You
live.
gotta roll.
You gotta roll with it.
Yeah.
We have communication
Improvise.
with
Yeah.
headsets. We are communicating constantly. I said, from this moment now until the show is over, I'm in a different mode. So if I come off to be standoffish or whatever, don't take it personal, because I'm in production mode now. Now it's my brain going out to the world,
Exactly.
and that is where my focus is. I don't want any pettiness. Because I will just ignore it, because I can't have that circulating in my brain.
So I need everybody focus on their position, their job, and making sure that you don't panic, get things done, improvise, do what you got to do, but understand that I'm in a space where, create a space where I'm getting things done. I'm seeing the big picture. I'm making sure this show is going on, going forward.
Right.
Tell us what happened after the meeting.
Okay, so right after I said those words, a gentleman who's been my production manager said, let's say a prayer. He did that, and upon him saying amen, I walk outside of
The meeting room.
the meeting
Yeah.
room, on my way to my truck, which is right outside the venue. Again, checking the signals, making sure that everything is working right. All of a sudden, I heard a sound. It was very loud. But when I heard that sound, right after I heard the sound, I smelled gas. Very strong.
Wow.
So I'm saying, well, maybe something happened in the kitchen, because they were preparing to lay out our
The food.
our buffet for our honorees who had a pre-cocktail reception schedule, right?
So you had the honorees come before the event
Exactly.
to have a
Pre-cocktail reception,
Yeah,
food, mingle,
so
photo op,
so
red carpet,
get
all
prepared
that.
for them, everything. Okay, that's good. That's
Right.
good.
Now, I hadn't even changed my clothes yet. I was still running around doing my thing. I went in and talked to the chef. He says, no, I'm good. Now, he got the burners wide open, but I didn't smell that gas smell in there.
So you didn't smell the gas inside the kitchen, but you smell it outside.
I just smelled gas at the time,
Okay.
and I didn't know where it was coming from.
Okay.
So then, as I started walking towards my truck outside, it started getting stronger and stronger and stronger.
Wow.
When I walked outside, immediately, okay, the building's here.
Mhm.
My truck is right here,
Mhm.
so that I could run all the cables in, right, to the
Right,
to the
to
cameras,
the venue, yeah.
right, and,
Mhm.
and the power.
Mhm.
Right here is where they were, right outside the parking lot on the street side,
Mhm.
is where they were laying the cable. And all of a sudden, I walked over to, because I started smelling the gas real strong, man. And I said, dude, what happened? All of a sudden, you see this haze. The only way that I could,
From the gases
from the
that's coming
gases
through the-
escaping from the ground,
Wow.
the only way that I could describe it to you is, it looked like if you were ever in a real hot, hazy day,
Mhm.
and you see the horizon, and you see vapors coming up,
Mhm.
magnify that about 1,000 times.
Wow.
That's how strong it was. And then moments later, I just saw a pipe just come out of the ground,
Wow.
flapped up.
So the pipe burst and came out of the ground.
Right, it was
Yeah.
an orange pipe.
Now that in itself, smelling the gas, seeing the bursting of the pipe
Mhm.
come out the ground.
Right,
So you got to be frantic, not just for the people around, but for yourself, because at any given time something can explode it.
exactly. And you have to think about my state of mind at that moment
Mhm.
was safety first.
Right.
Because we could do a show anytime.
Right.
But if somebody were to get hurt or get killed, I could never
Exactly.
forgive myself for something that happened as a result of a show that I was producing.
Right. Right.
So safety first was my main concern. So I said to everybody, get out the building.
Mhm.
See what's going on.
So you saw the pipe burst and you ran inside, tell everyone, your team, get out the building, stop cooking, stop
Right. I told them
preparing,
to turn the burners
get,
off,
get off. Yeah.
stop smoking, whatever, not that anybody was, but if you planned on smoking, do that stuff somewhere around
Right.
a mile away.
Don't strike no flame nowhere.
Exactly. So after that, I immediately went to my truck.
Right.
Now, in the meantime, I had called the fire department and the police department, and I asked the gentleman to call the gas company.
Mhm.
And really, even though I'm seeing what's going on, I'm not thinking that my show is going to be canceled.
Mhm.
I'm thinking that the gas company's going to come, they're going to find out where it is, cap
And
it off,
cap it off and
and we're going to,
be done.
yeah, that's what I thought.
Yeah. Because it's right outside, right by the venue, right outside the venue.
Right,
But you're trying to make sure, okay, let's contain the situation. You guys get out.
right.
Let the fire department
Handle,
get here.
right,
And please get here. Make sure that everything is clear.
right,
And then the gas company is going to come and make sure everything's good, cap it off. Then in a couple of hours, we should be clear.
right,
And we're going to go on show.
right, exactly.
But what happened?
Didn't go that way. I walked outside, once I got all my crew out,
Mhm.
I walked outside, and right next to my truck was the gas meter.
Wow.
And I'm hearing this psst sound.
Mhm.
And I'm saying to myself, now I've been back and forth all day today,
Mhm.
and for the 2 or 3 days that because my truck was literally parked in front of the venue. Once it was in place,
Mhm.
I didn't move it.
So you could run the cords into the building.
Right,
Everything, right?
right. So that's why we were so much ahead of the game, because we ran all the cables and all that 2 or 3 days ahead of time.
Mhm.
So I'm thinking to myself, should I move my truck? Because if this thing blow up, man, I got $1 million worth of gear in here.
Right. Right.
What am I gonna do?
Tell us about the truck, because you have a unique truck, something that I've never seen before. I've seen a lot of production trucks, things like that, but you have something unique. Tell us about your truck.
Well, the production truck is it is a prototype, the 53-foot Expando trailer
Mhm.
that we have. The problem with the 53-foot truck is that, one, it's 53 feet,
Mhm.
so it can't fit everywhere.
Right.
It's only good for the Super Bowl, big sporting events, and big concerts where you have level ground, adequate space to park. Then power is an issue, because that truck has to be powered by a generator.
Right.
And it has to be a Cat 5 generator. So it just wasn't practical to have that truck as my major way of doing outdoor productions, because the truck just didn't fit everywhere.
Mhm.
So I purchased a Sprinter,
Mhm.
the biggest one they had, and gutted it.
Mhm.
and then wired the truck to work in any kind of environment, just like the big truck would, minus all the hardware, because my truck is basically software driven and virtual. So where you have an actual mixer, I don't have a mixer. I have software that
that's a mixer. Yes.
Right.
Yeah, yeah.
So that saves space, and it makes it able for me, a one-man band, to be my own audio guy if I need to be.
Right.
My own director, graphics. I can do everything, even control the cameras if I wanted to.
On site.
On site. And I have done it in the past, but I certainly would not have done it with a show like this.
Right.
But, you know, I've done many shows where it's just me in the truck setting up the cameras, controlling it, the audio, graphics, all that.
So this truck is your main truck.
I use it as my main truck.
Your money maker.
Right.
In a sense.
Exactly.
And so it's in a area where at any given time it can explode. And so you're asking, you know, the guys, look, should I move my truck? Because I'm thinking it's going to be rectified in a minute, but it doesn't look like, you know, wait, do I need to move my truck?
Right. And the fire chief, first of all, I had to go get the fire chief because they were more concerned about the people on the left side of the street in the whole because it's a residential area.
Right.
We were the only commercial venue, and it seemed to them to be isolated. So they never came to us initially. I went to them, and I said, this meter is making a noise that I've never heard, and I've been here for the last 2 weeks. I've never heard this noise. I'm certain that it has something to do with all that's going on.
Right.
So the captain came over. He says, yes, I don't like that noise. He brought another guy, came with his reader, said, this is a wrap. This is shut down officially.
Wow.
And I asked him, should I move my truck? He says, do not turn that. If you turn your truck on, we will all blow up. So now I'm saying to myself,
So if you were to start truck up, that would ignite the flame.
Yes.
And the whole truck and everybody around there
would have died. There's no question.
Wow.
And the reason why I tell you I know it's no question is because the fire department and the police, they're not going to tell you how dangerous the situation is. They have poker face and they do this every day of the week.
Right.
But again, from my forensic training, I can see signs and things that they do when they start moving away from the perimeter and they can't. I know what to look for. And they were moving away. They started making their perimeter wider and wider and wider.
They started to put the tape down and move back, don't go this way.
Yeah. Fire trucks started repositioning themselves. They started using a different type of pressure and I don't know if it was foam or whatever it was to keep the vapor down because it raised up about 2 feet off the ground.
Wow.
So I was told, now I don't know how true this is.
Because the gases was that strong.
It was that strong and it's escaping under the pavement. And what confirmed what I'm telling you is when I went and got the incident report from the fire department. The levels were off the meters, man. Wow. So I'm in the parking lot inhaling all of this gas, trying to get my staff in order, trying to give them direction, and staying true to what I said to them. Don't panic.
Don't panic.
I did not break a sweat.
The police is here. Fire department here.
Right.
Everything gonna be good.
Right.
You know, real soon.
Real soon.
Let's
just chill out.
let them do their job. And so
So I made sure there was a Dunkin' Donuts about a half a mile away. I told them all to go hang out there, and I would meet them there. In fact, we have video because we started producing the show in Dunkin' Donuts. We started singing and dancing. It was a beautiful thing. And all along, I'm looking at the clock and I'm saying, man, I got people coming in tuxedos.
Right.
It was a formal event.
So you're looking for them to finish up everything, cap everything off, and okay, let's go on, because the venue is right in the middle of everything that.
Exactly.
And so when they take everything off,
Hmm.
no one can get in to the venue.
They blocked off the whole perimeter.
Wow.
So people who lived in that area were turned around. Everybody that lived in any close proximity were asked to evacuate. Forced, not asked. They were forced to evacuate.
Wow.
It was,
Wow.
and here I am running across the street, talking to the fire chief, talking to this one, talking to that one, and not really realizing that I'm exposed to this gas.
Yeah.
Um,
Because your event is in the middle of this. You like, what's going on? Are we going to rectify this
right.
soon? Because I have 1,000 people showing up in a couple minutes,
That's right.
and so can we get something done? Because uh, I have time invested, money invested. I got people that's flying in. I got people that's coming that's getting an award. I got people that's coming to see them get an award. I got everything coming together in a couple of minutes, and this stuff is still not rectified. So,
Right.
so I'm pretty sure you're not only frantic right now, but trying to see what's going on to try to save my event.
I was in, I don't even know what defense mode, what defense mechanism did not allow me to break out in tears, bro.
Wow, wow.
I'm just being real with you. This wasn't a little bit of money, and the thing about it, 95% of the money that was put into this was my own.
Wow, wow,
So,
wow.
needless to say, I'm really struggling with what to do.
Mhm.
And I've been a part of a lot of events that were canceled due to bad weather or whatever, but never on this magnitude, when the
Right.
safety and the people's lives are now at stake. I never had that element to deal with. And I never had the element of, is my equipment about to be blown up?
Exactly, exactly.
My truck was in direct line of sight. If anything would have sparked, all my gear would have been gone.
Everything.
Now, I have insurance, of course, but who wants to use it?
Right, exactly.
You know?
'Cause you already allocated some certain things, for that truck, and
Right.
you got events and productions, and everything like that. So I don't want to lose my investment.
Right.
Also, I have a big production right now today, so I want to make sure that this goes on because that's my livelihood. I have things invested in this, and plus I'm looking to do some things after this show.
We had advertisers, potential sponsors for future events for 2019. As you mentioned, many people that I flew in, stayed at hotels. So we created not only a lot of excitement, but we created revenue. We generated revenue a couple of days before the big show. And I saw all that go crashing and burning, literally,
Wow.
in a matter of 30 to 40 minutes. And then on top of all this, now my guests are starting to arrive.
Wow.
My phone is on fire because people can't get in. And they're thinking that the event was so huge that the police shut it down.
Shut it down. Right. Right.
They had no idea what was going on.
They figured that the event that Bill was producing was so big that they couldn't get close to it.
Right.
And so they're trying to figure out what's going on, even though you can smell the gas from miles away.
They didn't
try to
attribute that.
Attribute that to the event.
Right.
And so at the same time, like, what's going on? We're blocked off. Can't get the event. They blocked the television. Can't get this way.
Right.
So what's going through your mind at this moment?
I'm just in complete disbelief. But I also know that I have to be the leader, the fearless leader that I am, and I have to be straightforward and not convincing, because there was nothing to convince people of other than, look, this is the situation that is before us. We can't do it. And at this stage of the game, even if it were up to me, because it wasn't, I wouldn't move forward with it anyway, because people's health, in my opinion, is more important
Exactly.
than a show
Exactly.
that we can reschedule, which we have done.
Exactly.
So I'm not going to go into all of this back and forth with it. I had people who were dressed to, not some, everybody came dressed, ready to go.
Wow.
You know, Beyonce's musical director and bass player was one of my honorees.
Wow.
She left from doing a show. I don't think it was with Beyonce, of course, but she left to do a show, you know, from a show to come to be in Atlanta and receive her award.
Wow.
So all of these type of people were here. And it was just, she couldn't believe it.
That's a lot of pressure because you have thousands showing up, 30 honorees, you have your crew, and everything that's going on, all the money invested, time invested.
And then I have TV stations who are waiting for a live show.
Wow. That's huge because you're looking to do a live stream,
Right.
and everybody's waiting on this live stream.
Right.
For people to come in.
So not only am I having, and the thing is, even though I have staff members, they don't want to hear from them.
They want to hear from you.
They want to hear from me. I've
Exactly.
built a lot of these bridges, you know, and you can't burn them.
That's it.
You have people in the head end of certain cable facilities waiting for a signal. Now, what do they do to fill 3 hours of programming that's gone? Television stations can't move that fast, man.
Right.
What do you do?
Wow.
Unfortunately, the way that I think now is I have to think about disaster first now
Wow.
and think of a contingency plan, because I had a contingency plan for everything
But not
except this.
not a gas explosion.
Right.
You know, that's something that you don't look at as
There's no way for me
yeah.
to even,
Right.
I couldn't have written this in a script. And then the very thing that, you know, I just said to myself, man, out of all the places in the world, out of all the venues in the world, out of the time of day in the world, this had to happen here.
Here.
This day,
Yeah, right.
this
This
time,
time.
this place.
Being involved in a real live disaster movie, how did you, you know, really close out that day after, you know, you make your calls to the network and the people are turning around that's trying to come and trying to make sure your family's okay as well as your guests, things like that. So how did the day end after all that?
The day ended when I started throwing up and passed out.
Wow.
And
Wow.
I just couldn't believe, man, what had happened. It was just like a bad dream that you just think you're gonna wake up from, and it was just, you know, the funny thing about it, it's not the money, even though money is an issue, and it's not that. It was what was the stories of these people
Right.
that we were not only going to tell through their own acceptance speeches, but it's those pre-produced packages that we produced that explained what these people are about
And doing.
and these pre-produced packages were going to play prior to them receiving their award.
Wow.
And these people,
So others can see what they have been doing
exactly.
and what they're about, and
Right.
everything, their businesses. So not only was this a speech, but an actual advertisement of their business, of what they're doing.
Exactly.
So that's unique.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And because again, I wanted the show to be different. I wanted the show to be beyond your typical award show. We were starting the award show off with a play called Midnight in Mississippi.
That's good.
And I said, what better way to showcase her than let her do her play?
Now see that this is amazing because an actual award show that's actually different from any other award show. So you have a playwright that's going to actually do a play in the beginning of the show.
Right.
So you have a lot of production going on.
Oh yeah.
A lot of things that people have prepared for
That's right.
prior to.
That's right.
That's now ended because
Right.
of this disaster.
And man, I really didn't understand the impact,
The magnitude of
the
what happened.
magnitude,
Yeah, yeah.
not of the cancellation of the show itself, until I did these pre-production, pre-packaged rather, productions with each honoree to find out what their stories, their backstories were. And dude, I'm gonna give you a couple of them. A mother and daughter team who they have a food pantry, and this food pantry is in Decatur. They don't get any funding from this.
Wow.
Although they have a not-for-profit business, they go out and purchase the food themselves to feed all of these people in that area. Not just homeless people, anybody that needs food. They do it every single week.
Wow.
The mother, she told me, holding her granddaughter in her arms during our pre-production package, that she was stabbed 10 times in the heart,
Wow.
in the lungs, every major organ by her daughter's boyfriend.
My goodness.
And the reason why, she said she heard about the boyfriend, she heard about what he was planning on doing. So she ran over to the house and to protect her daughter and her granddaughter.
Wow.
And instead of him attacking her daughter, he tried to kill her. And she said that she had cardiac arrest 3 times.
Wow.
And on the 3rd time, when they brought her to, her father died of cardiac arrest at the same moment.
My goodness.
And it's on the death certificate.
Wow.
The time that she was brought back and the time that he passed away.
That's a story in itself. And so these are the type of people you're honoring that night.
I had a young lady, hero employee, the big trucks that ride around town on the highways. I'm in my car about 3 months ago. You know, I got the little thin tires on my car. So I hit something that looked to be a big piece of metal that I couldn't avoid. I pull over. I'm at the worst intersection in Atlanta, right there where 20 turns into to 85.
Oh yeah, that's a
Yeah,
yes. That's a major intersection.
It's major.
Yeah.
Accidents there all the time. So I just had enough room to pull off into the shoulder. I'm saying to myself, oh, I could get the tire off. I try to pull it off, can't get it. Call Hero, who shows up. It's a little 5-foot black woman. And I'm saying to myself, how's she gonna get the tire off? I'm a man, I couldn't get it off, right? But again, you know, no shade. I let her do her thing. I stepped to the side, and her supervisor showed up, and he tried to get it off. He couldn't get it off. And what struck me was this little young lady grabbed this pole. I can't tell you what it was. And she left my car on the ground. And because normally, no, I'm sorry, the car was up. Up. She's on top of the car, man, with her foot, her hand on the trunk, and her foot like this.
Wow.
And the tire's not turning. And she loosened those nuts, right? Now, she has this much room between her and the highway. So if she would have slipped off of that thing, she would have fell in the line of the traffic that did not slow down at all.
At all, yeah. In Atlanta, they don't slow down for anything. So. Yeah.
And so after she did this,
wow.
I said to her, and she had 3 other women in there in the car with her that never got out, but they were training. I walked over to the car, and I said, well, the truck, and I asked her, I said, how many of these things do you do on a daily basis? She said, probably 10, 20 a day.
Wow.
And she said, the piece of medal that you ran over, she said, I saw it and we got reports on it. She said, so I had passed you and then came back around. She said, even if you didn't call, I was coming to get that piece of metal because a lot of people ran over it. She said it was huge, that thing.
Wow.
She said, but the way that it was positioned, once you got on it, you got on it. And it was just nothing she could do.
Right.
But she also said that how dangerous the job is and how disrespectful drivers are when she's out there trying to do what it is she's doing, which is nothing more than to make sure that you get to your destination safely.
Right.
And to let her hear, her and her mom talk about how she just wants to make sure that she gets home
Wow.
at the end of the night.
Wow.
So this wasn't
So-
your typical award show.
So this young lady who works for Hero is actually an everyday hero.
Hero, exactly.
And that's what you're portraying in this award.
Yeah.
Everyday heroes doing extraordinary things. Yeah. And that's big. That's huge.
Yeah.
Not only to your production, not only to your network, but to these people to say, hey, here I am, and finally somebody is recognizing me
Right.
for the things that I do.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. And so I was disappointed for them.
Yeah.
Not for myself,
Yeah.
because, I mean, I'm going to be all right.
Yeah.
As long as I have my health and God gives me the will, the ability to get up in the morning and do what I do, I have a skill level that's going to always be able to get me paid.
I understand that. However, the devastation of what happened was not your fault.
Not at all.
And the things that you put into the production and the equipment, people flying in and hotels being put up, and this event has been planned for months and pre-production for weeks. So this is not something that's little. This is a big loss to you.
Oh yeah.
I understand.
Financially,
I understand that you're moving, trying to do your best to move on, but financially, this is a big, a blow to your production, a blow to your network. Even though you're moving forward, doing your best to get things together, this is a huge blow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it unfortunately creates doubt.
Because you got to talk about branding, because
Yeah.
branding is key to this business.
That's right. That's right. And I have had two people basically tell me that they're kind of glad that this happened, because it, in their mind, the production probably would not have been what they want or needed it to be for their own brand.
Wow. Yeah.
We think the worst about one another all the time. First.
Exactly. So branding wise, you have some what we call haters. You have some people that were doubtful in the first place.
Exactly.
And so getting the network off up and running, and production with his awards. So this is something that will identify your brand in an excellent way.
It would certainly have differentiated us from Netflix and everybody else out there doing what they do. Because not only the uniqueness of the show, but we have produced a show called Emerging Narratives, which is a direct spin-off of this. And the way that it was timed and named,
Exactly.
it was going to keep the brand going.
Going.
In fact, we had so many people who wanted to be honored, and people that heard about what we were doing and started passing on other people that we should consider, that we decided to do this quarterly.
That's good.
You know?
But for branding purposes, this was launching something bigger.
Oh yeah. Yeah, it wasn't
Yeah.
just the one show. So we were producing a show called Divas and Doctors on Call, where these women are also going to be giving actionable advice to people who have wellness issues. And these are actionable things that you could do, tangible things,
Right.
opposed to always taking medication.
So wait a minute, you have the war show that's showing these everyday heroes and people who are doing extraordinary things in the community, and then you have shows that will be spent off of this award show.
Exactly.
That's huge.
So
Because now you have something that's going to lead up to this award show, and then after the award show you have spin-offs and things like that. And so how did that affect your brand and the spin-offs and how things were planned beforehand?
well, it affected it immensely because everything was scheduled to right now today. Emerging Narratives should have been airing on cable TV
Wow, wow,
today
wow,
because that's the way it was timed. So now everything is pushed back a month, maybe two.
wow, wow.
And then of course, I still have to pay the bills.
Exactly.
I still have to pay because I've already commissioned people to start shooting and this and that. We've already been in that.
In that
Process.
mode, right? Process, right?
Right.
Right. You can't stop.
Can't
Process.
stop that process.
Yeah.
And even if I do, I already booked people. People don't want to hear nothing, man. When it comes down to a cancellation, especially if it's not 7 days prior to, you got to pay everybody.
Right.
People don't care, man. The people, my security detail, armed guys, man. You know, on the roof watching. Because again, we're in dangerous times, man.
Right. Right.
So it's not just the production. Now I got to make sure that they're safe.
Right. Right.
So I got clothed officers, marked police car. I mean, I got a security detail because I got about a 50, maybe $100 million worth of wealth in the room, probably more.
Right. Right.
I got to protect that on my watch. So I did the work,
Wow.
you know.
Wow.
And
Wow.
so to have such a devastating loss like this. Man, I'm going to tell you something, and this is as real as it gets for me. I've been in this, as I stated earlier, 36 years plus. I mean, in counting. And I've dealt with some very huge disappointments. And usually it will affect me in a way that I'm moody for a day or something, and then I'm good. Dude, I was so devastated. And I had to think about the word that I was going to choose to say, the adjective that I was going to use to describe my feeling. But I was devastated because it affected me in ways that I never thought. It affected my health, and it still affected my health today. I don't know that I'm not dealing with something that might linger on to be something more catastrophic because I had access to this deadly gas for about 6 hours.
Yeah.
Steady.
Yeah.
Strong
Yeah.
gas.
Yeah.
It's gas that you can smell 2 miles away.
Yeah.
I'm right there over the damn hole.
Right.
Devastated that my friends and family didn't get an opportunity to see me shine. My grandkids were sitting and waiting to watch. This was Christmas holiday.
Right.
So the very time
This is,
I can't recreate
this is a big
Christmas
day.
2018
That's it.
ever again.
Wow.
I can't get all these same people in the room. That was the perfect storm to get everybody. It was perfect, man.
Okay.
And when in this business, you only get excellence and perfection maybe once or twice in your life. Production life.
Because when it comes to branding, you got one chance to make a good impression.
Right.
You know, and so after that, bad experience.
Yeah.
Not too many people want to deal with you, especially when it comes to I don't want to say it like this, but African American, networks, own networks, productions. They're always looking for something that say, oh, that's not excellent. Oh, that's not,
I mean, I do understand from the spiritual standpoint of this that there's an enemy out there, there's an energy out there that was totally working against the positivity of the message. The message was so strong, dude. I was going to take people on peaks and valleys to the degree that they would have gotten. It would have been a cerebral orgasm.
excellence.
Yes.
At its best.
At its best. I mean, I know how to do that.
Yeah.
And this was going to be one of my best projects ever.
Yeah.
And not to be able to, my staff will hear me say, and people will hear me say all the time, I'm not going to be the guy that dies with this song in heart, or die with his song in his heart.
Right.
Meaning that whatever is inside of me, you're gonna hear it.
I'm gonna get it out.
I'm gonna get it out
Right.
because I don't know if tomorrow is gonna be
Right.
here.
Right.
So I need you to hear this song today.
Right.
It might even intrigue you enough to might want to do something.
Exactly. Exactly.
And so that would be my message to everybody that I encounter. Don't die with your song in your heart. Make it happen. Do something about what the gifts and talents that God has given you. Do something with it.
Now, speaking of gifts and talents, as a creative person, producer, director, business owner, how did this stifle your creativity?
It took me until yesterday to want to even come back in this office.
Wow.
I didn't want to do it.
Wow.
I didn't want to do it. I had a lot of things happen leading up to this. Other deals that didn't go the way that I wanted it to go. Other deals with HBCU college sports where another entity came in bigger than us and paid the schools money just to keep us out the game. So I'm dealing with a lot of stuff in 2018.
Right.
Dude, I didn't celebrate jack.
Wow.
When the clock struck 12, I was in a deep sleep.
Wow.
I wanted to see this time come and go.
Wow.
I didn't want to deal with the transition because for me, the only thing that changed is the date on the calendar. My bills are still the same.
Wow.
The pressure of dealing with people who are unreasonable has not changed.
Wow.
The fact that I have not been able to do the show yet has changed.
Wow.
I mean, has not changed. So I didn't want to talk to no one. No one. I stayed in the bed for a week, coughing my brains out. I haven't stayed in the bed in a week in 30 years.
Yeah, you're shaking the mover.
I can't make no money in the bed.
Exactly.
And if I could, then I'd be in a different line of business. I'm just saying.
I'm just saying. But at the end of the day, it was very devastating in many different ways.
Yeah.
And there are some things that has been affected that you don't even know as of yet. And so with that being said, how do you move on from here? How do you go from a devastating event that was scheduled to be a branding event of excellence to propel not only your network but also propel other shows on your network? How do you move from here? How do you go on?
I have to think about what motivated me to do all of this from the beginning. And I have to think about my legacy, because there are those that have come before me that have attempted to do what we're doing. A perfect example is a gentleman by the name of Bob Johnson, BET. Bob Johnson did exactly what I am doing, and he got the golden parachute, $1 billion. I'm not certain that Bob Johnson had a choice in that matter, because anytime that we build anything of significance, then you have the people who come out of nowhere and they give you those offers that you can't refuse. And if you don't take those offers, more often than not,
They make it hard for you.
or impossible,
Right.
and then they shut you down.
Right.
We don't own the satellites in the sky. We don't own the infrastructure that controls the integrity of your signal. So you're always at the mercy
Of
of
someone
the
else.
third party.
Yeah.
So until we own that, we're always going to be fighting for the crumbs. I want to be a part of the movement where, and this is not political, it's not black or white, it's just a movement of moving towards ownership of satellites in the sky. Being able to connect directly from my head in, my office, to somebody's home. The internet gives me the opportunity to do that where broadcast television did not. There was always a guy in a suit stopping the progression.
Yes. Yeah. Right.
So if I have an idea, if you have an idea of a show, even what we're doing right now, we can immediately get this in front of people. 5 years, 10 years ago, what access that we have to people.
Right.
I have access to people's phones.
Yeah.
I can get the message to people instantaneously. That's the difference. So if I'm one of the trailblazers out here and I give up because of something that was beyond my control, then I'm again part of the problem.
That's it. That's good. That's good.
So I decided to get over the pity party and stop feeling devastated. And I'm going to change this, and I feel celebrated that I'm alive. And
Amen.
That,
Amen.
that this did not
Amen.
affect people in a way that would have killed my legacy.
And the thing is that if this would have happened while the event was going on, there could have been more things that could have happened.
Absolutely.
And so we thank God that no one got hurt,
Right.
that things was contained,
Right.
and that you make sure that your people's okay, even though you were exposed, but you're making sure your people okay and trying to make sure things are moving on. But however, we thank God that you're okay,
Yeah.
and nothing else happened during that day,
Right.
even though it was very traumatic financially and to your health. But
Yeah.
make sure things could have been a lot worse.
A lot worse.
A lot worse.
And what it made me think about is another award for those first responders
That's
that
good.
had
That's good.
that
That's
had
good.
to stay there.
That's good.
They didn't have a choice.
That's good. And see, I like how you think, because you're still thinking about other people and how they put themselves in harm's way, in the line of danger, to make sure things are okay. So you're looking at the first responder like, hey, you were doing your thing,
Yeah.
to make sure everything's okay, even though this event didn't happen. I still have an eye for everyday heroes.
Yeah.
To make sure that they get recognized.
Yeah.
That's powerful.
Yeah. I mean, again, I had to get to this point, man. Even though it's still only 2 weeks, I should be on a different high right now, to be honest with you. But I'm working through it, and I have to be real with myself and understand how much it affected me, man. To the degree with dude, I was ready to shut it all down.
No, can't do that.
I was ready to shut it all down, man.
The network must live on, because there's other things that is going to come out of this, and so I encourage you to keep moving forward, because I know for a fact that God has his plan for you, the network, your family, the people who you're producing, and the awards that's going to be given, and help encourage people. And so you have a heart to give, a heart to make sure that things are done in excellence. And so I'm almost sure, that you can make it out of this. If you don't give up, you keep going. So don't shut down, but keep moving.
Well, I feel that we have made it out of it for the simple reason that I'm still here today. Because like I said to you, I had a few real heart-to-heart conversations with some people who did show up en route to, not knowing. And they were telling me, one person in particular who was 40 years in the news game I told you about.
Right.
And he said to me, dude, what I want you to take away from this is that I've worked on many news stories that did not end the way that your story ended.
Right.
He said, and I'm talking about people who had just a small gas leak in their house. This was a gas main that was cut. And other than me coughing, and hopefully that's the extent of it.
It could have been a lot worse.
He said the fire incident report, the levels that they were talking about could have leveled the whole city block.
Wow. Now that's huge.
The whole block.
That's huge. So in the hindsight, things could have been a lot worse.
Absolutely.
So God was covering you in the event that this pipe busted, but it wasn't during the event. It was before the event.
It was a sign, man. And I think what has to happen is you have to look at the message that is to be had. What is that message? You know what I'm saying? why did this happen? It wasn't a coincidence, man. It was things leading up to this event that I told you, where I probably should have canceled it.
Right.
But because of that mind, that internal thing that I have, that no, we don't keep things moving, there was a sign to be had, and I think I know what that sign is. And so, sometimes we gotta see the writing on the wall for what it is, man, and just not try to rationalize it in our own understanding and thinking to believe that it's saying this when it, in actuality it's saying this. Right? And that is what I take away from it. I'm certainly not gonna quit. I'm not a quitter. I never have been, never will be. Honestly, I was just that devastated, man.
So what's next for MPV Network? What's next for Bill? What's next on the agenda to not only get through this, devastating event, but what's next to, wrap up the network?
Man, we going back out and we gonna hit it harder than we did 2018. If you're gonna stop me, the day that I'm gonna be stopped is the day that y'all throwing dirt and eulogizing me. That's just where it's at with me. It just created a whole. I mean, I was already a tough cookie. Even though I'm small frame, I could carry a lot of weight on these little shoulders of mine. Now, man, I'm just at a point where whoever coming at me, whatever comes at me, I mean, dude, look.
What else can happen?
What else can happen? I mean, I don't want to say that. I don't want to test it.
No, don't test it. But I made national news, so national news.
National news.
Right.
I mean, it is what it is. And,
Right.
And there's a couple of ways, to spin it. And spinning it, actually, there's not a spin. It's just going to be a pivot.
Right.
To
right.
What it is that we need to do. And that's all I'm going to do, man. And I'm not going to worry about anything else, man, because that is already history. It's already done. I can't bring that day back.
Exactly.
All I can do is recreate it.